Dead men tell no tales.
The ironic thing about Pirates is Pirates was such a magnificent attraction, still is, but it was such a magnificent attraction back then that it launched what is now a multi-billion-dollar franchise. And the irony about that is the company now has started to tweak the ride to reflect the movie that was inspired by the ride in the first place. The latest change, and it is a change that is arguably probably the most controversial change that they have done thus far to the attraction, because it doesn't tie in to the films yet. It really is, by all intents and purposes, to make the attraction more politically correct. They are going to change the auction scene.
Your cargo, dearie. Show 'em your larboard side.
They're going to make the redhead, who all the pirates are barking from across the flume, we wants the redhead, and she is going to now be kind of like this head pirate chick that is holding a gun and kind of overseeing the auction.
We are not treated equally when it comes to equal pay, equal opportunity, and I believe that's worth changing. And I'm not quite sure if I have a good enough plan on how to change that, but I certainly don't think we're necessarily going about this sexual harassment in the most positive and appropriate way. Certainly, bringing any kind of light on the issue of sexual harassment is important. It's also important that women kind of own their own identity and claim their femaleness, not as a opposition to maleness, but as a complement to maleness, both of us together.
But hey, she's going to have a gun, so that makes it all better, right?
It's not going to compromise the experience by changing that. I don't think that Walt himself, he was a really bright guy. And I imagine if he was real involved when they designed and opened the Pirates, he seems to me, I don't know this personally, but he seems to me like the kind of guy that would make room for change. He knows that that society's outlooks on things change. I don't think there's anything left from the Song of the South there, right? I don't think there's anything left from Monsanto. So I know that the whole experience at the parks has to sort of change. So it's plus they're in business. They have stockholders, right? And they have to please them. So if there's something that they're doing that's keeping their profits down, like any business, they have to respond to it.
You have to think that the change that's coming up in Pirates now, the auction change, is social. Because there is no other, it's not matching a major scene in the film. It's not a new merchandising line of Big Red's auction wares, T-shirts that they're selling. There's nothing that is the motivator other than socialism. It's got to be a group that is saying, that's not right, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that, and hey, while we're at it, that kind of bugs me too. If you ride every attraction and extrapolate, oh my God, but what happened after we turned the corner? More than half the rides at Disneyland would have to be raised and done all over again with white touchy-feely gloves.
I've been on the Pirates probably 50, 60 times since it was new, actually. And to tell you the truth, I've never even noticed that little scenario. There's so much other stuff to look at.
Women have to take some responsibility for how we present ourselves. Not that you deserve to get raped or deserve to get sexually harassed because you wore a revealing blouse or a really tight skirt, but I think in some ways we also have to stop sending the sexual message and own the fact that we are women.
I never grew up or even worked the attraction and rode through the auction scene once going, that really sucks. They're going to get taken home and just raped and probably killed when they're done raping them. And God, that's a horrible thing that Mark and them did. That never crossed my mind. And I would venture to guess that if people really did some soul searching, until this came up a half a year ago, very few people went through Pirates of the Caribbean and said, oh, I've got a real problem with this.
It could very well be that I have the wrong opinion. And maybe by hearing what someone else has to say, I might be able to understand more, and maybe even more about myself. Because those things that are inside me, those things I get offended at, are things that reveal my character.
You know, there's always the problem of throwing out the baby with the bathwater there. You've got some people that I think probably don't deserve to be getting the end of that. But then again, there's the problem that goes past Me Too. What happens then? Are women going to be able to turn this into something, some sort of force, some sort of outcome?
There are a lot of dark humor moments. You know, there's always My Way at the Haunted Mansion. What are they going to take the hanging guy out because Robin Williams hung himself? And if you got to be in that vein, then I hope you're not watching the movies at home either, too, because the movies are a lot more offensive than the attraction ever was and ever will be.